February 12th, 2018. Rich Van Tassel with you, giving you our weekly NBA report. Of course, starting in the East, the Toronto Raptors have now overtaken the Boston Celtics with the top spot in that conference. They hold the half-game lead in our percentage points. Originally, it was just percentage points. So give to the Toronto Raptors a lot of credit. They continue to fly under the radar. What's really impressing me the most about Toronto is they're 23-4 at home. You look at some of the other home records with the teams at the top of the Eastern Conference. Celtics 21-10, which isn't overly impressive. Cleveland fairly good 20-7, but Washington 17-10. Milwaukee 18-9, okay, but Miami Heat, who are 30-26 altogether, are only 14-12 at home. So that is something that always impresses me when a team plays well, either really, really well at home, like the Raptors are playing, or well but not something spectacular like a 23-4 record on the road. It's not that Toronto's playing that poorly on the road either. They are 16-12, but like a Celtics 19-8 road record, that's something that really impresses me. So either one of the two. Of course, Toronto, like I said, I did the video regarding the Cavaliers trade. I still don't know what you're going to get from Kyle Lowry in the playoffs. He's shown at times that he's a bit inconsistent and can't, always play to his... Well, DeMar DeRozan, is a bit inconsistent. Kyle Lowry has shown consistent subpar play in the playoffs. Serge Ibaka upping his points per game, 12.7. I like that. I think Ibaka's been very good for this team, and I think that he'll have to continue to be the guy and certainly get more points in the playoffs. His defense is very good. Valanciunas, he is what he is. 12.8 rebound, maybe a 13.8 rebound, 13.9 rebound guy for his career. It doesn't look like he's ever going to develop into that, 16-10 guy, 17-9 guy who can really be a big factor in the post. CJ Miles has upped his points per game for the Raptors to 10.3. So let's see if they finally found a guy who can really, be the other scorer with Lowry, DeRozan, and of course Ibaka giving you points. To me, Valanciunas isn't really that go-to scorer at this point. I don't know if he'll ever be. But you need maybe that bench score. Norman Powell hasn't given it to you. The Celtics are struggling. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They got smacked around by the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. Of course, the Cavaliers now 33-22. They've won 3 straight. They are only 13-15 on the road. They made the big trade. We did the video on that. You can check that out. Then there's the Washington Wizards at 32-24. Quiet at the deadline. Didn't make any moves. Still a team that I'm just not sure of at this point how far they're really going to be able to go. Could they have beaten a team like Cleveland in a series before Cleveland made that trade? I would have said so. At this point, I don't see that happening, even if they were to beat a team like Cleveland in a series, unless it came in the Eastern Conference Finals, which I would have doubted. Then you wouldn't be going to the finals regardless if you were the Wizards. They would have lost to a team like Toronto or Boston. Beal continues to lead the way. They've played well without John Wall. Let's see how they incorporate him when he comes back. Otto Porter Jr. continues to progress. Kelly Oubre has given you some points as well. So they found some other scorers to give the points that are needed outside of Beal and Wall, with Kelly Oubre's jump from last year to this year, and of course Otto Porter Jr. doing what he does. But Morton Gortat has not been very effective. So continue to see how they incorporate John Wall when he comes back. Milwaukee 8-2 in their last 10. Looks like the decision to get rid of Jason Kidd really made the difference for this team. They're playing inspired basketball, of course, so they're coming along now, and this is much more of what we expected from the Milwaukee Bucks under now Joe Prunty. What you would have had a team looking a lot better. But again, I wouldn't have even thought that Milwaukee would have been much different than 31-24 at this point in the season. To me, that's a very comparable record to what they would have. I'd still like to see them eventually get Thon Maker more involved, see what he can do. You don't have Greg Monroe there to take minutes. He's giving you only 18 minutes per game, 4.9 points. I think that this guy can be another athletic guy and can really cause some problems on the defensive side of the ball for other teams with a guy like Antetokounmpo as well. You have John Henson, who leads the team in blacks. He's another long guy. If Jabari Parker can ever get it going, he's a long, guard. I think this team could be very dangerous. So that is something I would really like to see with the Milwaukee Bucks moving forward. Then after Milwaukee, you have the Indiana Pacers at 32-25. They got to win against the Celtics. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Again, this team is not going anywhere at this point. You might see them get to 45 wins. Hats off to them for the way they've played this year. I'm a little surprised, yes, that they're continuing the hot streak, but you got to give Nate McMillan a lot of credit. Clearly, Victor Oladipo has to be at least on one of the All NBA teams this year. I don't see how you can't throw votes his way for MVP at this point. He's even giving you, over 2 steals per game. Now, steals are how indicative are steals of the overall defense? It's a hit or miss at this point. He gives you some rebounds. He gives you the points per game. He shot very well. Maybe it was just coming back to Indiana, and this has given him an opportunity to be comfortable as a pro. He was highly regarded coming out of college, so it's not like it's just some random guy who's doing it. He's still relatively young, has not played in the league for that long in his career. What is this, his 4th season now? He's 2013. He was drafted 2nd overall, of course. He's put up numbers in his career, so maybe he's just found a home. But certainly give them credit. But again, how far can they really go? Miami's starting to come back down to earth. They are 30-26. 3-7 in the last 10, and then of course they're still in the minus in their differential this deep in the season. Philadelphia 28-25 have won 3 straight. There's Detroit now. Again, they trade for Blake Griffin. Still no consistency. They're 27-28. 2 games out. They've now lost 2 straight. They've been up and down all season. Charlotte, can they make a push at this point? They're 6.5 behind the Philadelphia 76ers. They lost last night to the Toronto Raptors. They've lost 4 straight when you thought they had a chance. Will they be able to turn it around now before the All-Star break and make a push? The only reason they've really moved up is because the Knicks at 23-34, they've lost 6 straight. It's really come apart from the Knicks. Then you got Chicago 19-36. Give them some credit for not just completely folding this year. Brooklyn has lost 5 straight now. They're struggling. That 35 wins could be a little hard to get at this point. They would have to go, 16-9 the rest of the way. Unlikely to happen. You'd still like them to at least get to 30 wins, though. Then you have the Orlando Magic at 18-37 and the Hawks 18-39. In the West, Golden State 43-13. They've won 2 straight. They do only hold a 2-game lead over the Houston Rockets, who have now won 8 straight. So Houston again finds a way to streak. It beat some decent teams during that time. They beat the Cavaliers 120-88, beat the Spurs, beat the Miami Heat, who are sputtering a bit. The Nuggets are certainly no slouch. Yes, they have played teams like the Mavericks, the Nets, and the Magic over that streak, as well as the Suns. But though you got to play the teams on their schedule. So they beat some good teams, and they beat teams that are not very good as well. But of course, you can't knock teams for beating bad teams, and they beat good teams. So doing a good job in that regard. Again, the very balanced scoring. I really like what Gerald Green has brought to the table. Even though he's only played in 19 games, I think he can be a factor. When the playoffs come, you're going to need bench scoring. You're going to have a heavy dose of points, of course, all the time with the Houston Rockets, but you're going to need guys to give you points at different times during the game. Eric Gordon may be able to do that. So I don't think Houston has enough firepower. Look, they have a lot of guns. I don't think the guns are powerful enough for this team. But let's see what happens. Again, just when you think they might be going away, there they are. San Antonio continues to stay right there at 35-22 in the 3rd spot. They hold the game lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were 35-24. Timberwolves lost a tough one to the Cavaliers over the week. They played very well. Were able to beat the Sacramento Kings, but you had a loss to the Chicago Bulls, who are not very good. So the young team going through their ups and downs, but still, give them credit. They have not shown any real inconsistent play. They have not shown any slippage that they've had to come back from. Jimmy Butler continues to lead the way. Karl Anthony Towns has gotten himself over 20 points per game this year. So certainly Minnesota is not going to go anywhere. I give Minnesota a much better chance, to be honest, against the Warriors than the Houston Rockets, because I think Minnesota, what they can do with the inside-outside Karl-Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins are guys who can get their own shot. Jeff Teague can get hot at times, and I just see a lot more powerful guns on the team than the Houston Rockets, but that's just me personally. Oklahoma City 2 behind the Minnesota Timberwolves for that top spot in that division. They are 32-25. A little bit Jekyll and Hyde, now 5-5 in the last 10. Portland 31-26. How much progress can they make? If they're locked into that 6th seed, they could be a team that might be a little dangerous against the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe if Minnesota gets the 3 seed, you have a younger team. Again, Portland is not a bad basketball team by any means. They just simply don't have enough to get out of a tough Western Conference. I think it's wasting Damian Lillard just a bit, but that's the NBA, unfortunately. That's professional sports, unfortunately, and certainly much more in the NBA, sports like the NHL. You may have teams that are solid like the Portland Trailblazers. They're just never going to win anything because they're not better than a lot of other teams. It's not an indictment on them. And of course, Lillard 25.8, McCollum 21.6, Joseph Nurkic is the only other guy giving you in the double figures, as we said. But with Portland, it's just the case, there are teams that you're not going to be better than. And unfortunately, the Golden State Warriors have that much talent. Houston has that much talent. Minnesota has now gotten better, and Oklahoma City has that much talent. New Orleans 29-26, continue to hold on to that 8th spot. Give them credit, they did not fold since losing DeMarcus Cousins. Anthony Davis, again, putting up huge numbers, 26.9, 10.7. He's got to be considered an MVP consideration. He had 44 and 17 the other night. I believe that was against the Nets. So, look, can he get them maybe to where... they are only 2 out of 5. Again, the West is that tough. Could he get him to the 5 spot? 4 out of 4? I don't think he'll get him to the 4 spot. But if he does, how do you deny this guy MVP considerations? The Clippers 28-36, 1.5 out. Utah continues to play very well. Quinn Snyder is a very good basketball coach. He's got that team at 28-28. They have won a lot of games in a row here. 9 straight, and now they're 28-28. Quinn Snyder has done a good job. 10 out of the last 11. Look, I don't know where they're getting it from. They now traded Rodney Hood, which is a little surprised by. Rudy Gobert still gives you very good numbers. You bring in a guy like Jay Crowder. Ricky Rubio has been pretty, proficient. But again, you lose a guy like Gordon Hayward, and now you're still there. Derek Favors has put up some decent numbers, so I don't know why they necessarily traded Rodney Hood. They got some contracts here. I don't know. Maybe they're not even playing for it, even though they've won 8 straight. Denver was 30-26. I might have completely skipped over them. Denver continues to play well even without Paul Millsap. Lakers 23-32. I'm impressed by the Lakers, how they've really, they had a real rough stretch there. They're not going to make the playoffs almost certainly, but they have still, righted the ship a bit, and I think that's important moving forward for this young team. Memphis, losers of 6 straight, did not make any moves. Really disappointing to see Memphis go down in flames like they have. Phoenix 18-39. Dallas 18-39, and Sacramento continues to be really bad at 17-38. All right, the power rankings, I'm going to put the Rockets number 1, even though they're a half game back behind the Warriors. They've still won 8 straight. Number 2, the Golden State Warriors. 3, the Toronto Raptors. 4, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And 5, the Boston Celtics. All right, any news during the week in the NBA, we will give that to you. Be sure to stay tuned. And remember, we appreciate all subscriptions as well. Thank you all so much, and have a good week. Bye.